works. I think we need.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. They call this meeting to order for March 17, 2025. We're down 2 supervisors sick. So Dana is remotely participating in the meeting, so we'll have a quorum. Any objections to that? Seeing none, all stand and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so first on the list, executive sessions. We've had none since our last meeting here. And next, I would like to call for the approval of the Board of Supervisors meeting minutes from March 3rd. Dana?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I would like to second that. Or make a motion to do that.
All right. First motion is mine. Dana's second. Any comments? Jamie?
I don't see that the February minutes were approved. First of all, second of all, March 3rd wasn't a meeting, it was a workshop. So it's mislabeled on the agenda. And I'm still not clear on the difference between meetings and workshops.
There's no practical difference. That's what we call
If you recall from years ago, we had 2 meetings every month.
Right.
And so what we opted to do is to go with one general meeting and call the other one a workshop. So it's really kind of optional, but still a general workshop or a general.
But I thought
General
you said, Dave, at some point that there's things that you can't do in a workshop that you can.
No,
We advertise it as a meeting, so it's legit. But we try to do it like that. Like we try to use it as extra things that, we just want to give more time to.
so in the past, there was a concern about how it was advertised, but not anymore. We're
Okay.
advertising it so that the can do business and vote on business during the workshop. My understanding is the difference between the two is that their normal regular meeting, which is the 3rd Monday, is where they conduct most of their business, but they might have special things to do with the workshop.
Okay.
But they're still able to conduct business and vote on it.
Okay.
Not
I
the advertised meeting.
thought that was different than before. But did they ever approve the February minutes?
At the meeting on the 3rd.
Since we don't get to see the draft of the agenda or the minutes, actually, the minutes that we're approving. The 3rd? There's,
Meetings for the 3rd, yes.
well, anyway, I thought they were the best minutes that we've had. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah.
Jamie, what we're doing now is, as soon as we vote on it, it's getting posted immediately. So you can follow that QR code and get it as soon as Christina posts it. It should be now.
Well, you didn't vote yet.
Okay, all in favor?
That's true.
Aye.
Aye.
Next, reports from first responders. Sarge? This makes up for the previous meeting where you were 2 hours.
Yeah. Okay, this is the February 2025 monthly police report. There was no training during the month of February. There was 136 calls for service, 1 crime investigated, 0 arrests, 14 traffic stops, and 5 accidents investigated.
That's a good month. Safe month. That's very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Next is Ludwig's Quarter Fire Company report.
Hi, good evening, everyone. The Lowest Corner Fire Company report for February of 2025. West Vincent Township, we handled 29 incidents. We had 1 auto accident, 1 building fire, 3 automatic alarms. We had 4 trees and wires, 2 carbon monoxide alarms, 1 gas leak inside, and 1 brush wood fire. And we had 16 medical incidents. Upper Euclid Township, we had 19 incidents. East Nantwell Township, we had 8, and we had 6 incidents for mutual aid. Our total calls for the month were 62. Our total time in service were 32 hours and 41 minutes, and our total man hours were 112 hours and 13 minutes. We had average responders calls. We had 6 average responders per call for fire calls And we had two QRS responders for medical incidents. And our total training hours were 173 hours for the month.
Any questions? Seeing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next is conditional use hearing for the Pothouse Kimberton, relief for a self-storage facility.
Good evening. My name is Christopher Schubert. I'm with the law firm of Rieger, Rizzo, and Darnell. And I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicants, Pothouse Kimberton LLC. And I do have some witnesses that were available to testify tonight, but in further discussion with the solicitor, I understand that for a number of reasons, one of which is we have, it looks like, the seasonal flu who was hit in Allen. I understand another supervisor has now also stepped down, and you're looking to have an interim supervisor appointed later this evening.
Correct.
And in light of the fact that some of our presentation is visual in nature, I'm not sure how we can really effectively communicate that with Ms. Allen. The further concern being that at this point, I'm not sure of the preference of the third supervisor. I think it would be applicant's preference that we be in a position of continuing the hearing to a date certain so that we can have the new supervisor seated. Hopefully flu season's over, everybody can come back and we can actually see a live presentation, I think, which is important with this particular application. If we were able to do a workshop session and we'd have more time to devote to the application, I think we can finish it in one evening. I do have two other witnesses who were not available this evening, who potentially could. If I think the date we were kicking around was May 5, if that would work. I think that they would also be available. So the thought would be that we could finish everything in one evening.
Okay, so you want to postpone then until we have a full
We're going to
complement?
continue, and with hopefully of an agreement as to when we will continue to on the record, so we don't have to re-advertise it, although we're probably going to do that anyway because there's an issue with the prior advertisement. Ms. Allen, who's on the phone, indicated that the May 5th may be a problem because that's PSAT's week. And I guess she, maybe others are planning on attending PSATs, and we're not going to have a workshop. So let's talk about other possible dates.
Okay.
We may get pretty far along. May or April doesn't work.
The date in April, what would be that date? I know April 18 does not work for me.
The workshop in April.
That would be April 7. I know. Would that work?
What do we have?
That's correct, the 7th.
Do we have something else on that day, Dana?
Oh, butterscotch.
Yeah, yeah, we do. That could be a disaster.
Well, we're gonna render a decision on butterscotch, but we're not.
Yeah. Will we be taking any commentary? Yes, we'll have a crowd, that's all.
It's not gonna be testimony. People can comment on as they can at any meeting. So I don't think it'll take too long to go through that. So April 7th.
So April 7, the concern with April 7 is we were looking to go back to the Planning Commission. One of the issues that came up when we were at the Planning Commission was, and just by way of quick background, this application was originally filed about 3 years ago. A lot has changed at the township, and we had made an appearance before the Planning Commission in 2023, 2 years ago. At that point in time, the Planning Commission was kind of embracing an idea of having this self-storage facility designed as a barn. Renderings were prepared and we presented those, and everybody's on board with that. Most recently, when we went to the Planning Commission with regard to this application for conditional use, the Planning Commission was like 180, no barn. They were very definitive of not wanting to see a barn. So we have some different renderings that we're going to be presented. We'd like to present before the Planning Commission so that we can provide their further input. I'm saying to the supervisors that, and ultimately the decision on the facade of this structure would be up to the supervisors. If the barn is the preferred option, we still have that as a design option, but we would have 4 other facade options that would be available, and we'd like to have the opportunity to present those to the Planning Commission, get its recommendation, and then move forward to the conditional use with its recommendation.
All right, well, why don't I suggest that we pick another date, not necessarily a workshop date? So we can get it in late April or sometime in May. So first, let's start with the township. Do we know, Christina or Tommy, do we know any open dates when the room is open?
You want to do it on not a board of supervisors?
No, I think this is gonna be a few hours, so
I'm gonna have to grab my calendar because pretty much most weekdays we have
Okay.
meetings. Very rare that we don't.
all right.
Except unless we do it on Friday.
That's what
The
I'm,
only thing I see is the 23rd, other than Fridays.
23rd is available?
23rd is a Wednesday of April. I don't see any township events on that date.
This would be April.
Do we know when the Planning Commission meeting is in April?
April 17th.
Yes.
It's the 17th.
So that would work.
Either that
Unless you want to do it on Friday, the 18th, that would be fine by me too.
or how about
Yeah.
May 7th. The PSATs will be over.
Are you looking
Those that go to the PSATs, will you be back by May 7th?
We had Parks and Rec that night. We'd have to kick them out.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Christina.
We have the 10th, which is a Thursday,
Well, we need time to go to planning commission. Okay,
the 23rd, and then that's a Wednesday, and then the 28th, which is a Monday. It also looks like we have the 29th and 30th.
okay. Yeah, let's do all for a second. I'm out 28th and 29th. So. I can
28,
do-
29,
I can do the 30th
the 30th.
of April. Does that work?
That works. That works for
Does that
me.
work for us? Dan, is that okay with you? Bernie?
30th of April.
30, that's a win.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
That works.
all right, so we can go back on time. All right, after discussion amongst the applicant and township staff and supervisors, we're selecting Wednesday, April 30th of this year to continue this matter till then. We will re-advertise it for that date. And I think we should probably send you notices and a new posting, do everything soon to the MPC for that date. Do you have anything else? Mr. Schubert?
That will do it.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions about it before we conclude this very brief hearing? All right, so let's consider.
Yeah, can I,
Go ahead.
Dave, can I just ask, can we just address the fact that the name has been back and forth incorrect to get that on the record that either one is fine?
Well, we're gonna re-advertise it, Dana, with the correct name. So
But
yeah,
it's incorrect in some of the documents too.
we understand that. So we're aware of that, and the applicant's aware of that. The applicant's gonna file an amended application with the correct name, and we're gonna advertise it with the correct name. Okay? Anybody have anything else? All right, so with that, the hearing is continued to, what do we say? April 30th, April 30th.
At 7:30
It's 7.
or 7 o'clock.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank So you turn the meeting back to you.
Okay, wait for this gentleman to pass up.
We're good. We're good, Tom. Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. At this point in time, I'm just going to break with the agenda. I neglected to introduce Tommy Ryan, who is our new manager. He comes very well credentialed, and I wouldn't give him justice if I were to start rattling off. So in time, if you want to look into his background, you're going to have a treat for your eyes. So with that said, moving on. Announcements, registration for no knock list. Does anyone have info on that?
Yeah, it's available on our website, the link so that you can go ahead and do it now.
Okay, very good.
You can do it on the back of the agenda too.
Okay, very good. Next announcement is that we're going to be making the final conditional use decision on the butterscotch issue on April 7th, as you did here earlier. Want something, George?
Is the decision made in the April 7th is the announcement?
Well, they'll vote on the decision on April 7th.
Okay, so we'll have a supervisor that wasn't a party to the hearings voting on the decision?
Yeah, but the supervisor will review the transcripts. Right, correct.
Excuse me, we did have an executive session too, since this agenda was written. We had an executive session on Saturday, just to review some things with Tommy, and they were legal things.
What was your question, George?
I guess my question is, so you say the decision wasn't made and one of the deciding parties will just review the transcripts?
It's certainly available to him to do that. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, moving on here. So next is reports. Treasurer's report. Tommy?
Sure. Presented to the board this evening is the treasurer's report. I have one full business day of experience here. If there are any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. If I don't have an answer for anyone this evening, you can give me a call tomorrow to discuss.
All right. Next is expenditure and summaries bills list.
Same presented to the board this evening is the list of bills for the month. I have reviewed the.
Comments on the treasurer? No, I didn't. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yes.
Go ahead.
John Elder, 1634 Hilltop Road in Bertrandville. And just so Tommy gets his feet wet, this month, the treasurer's report, which JWendelgass or somebody would have given, there was a summary of funds for February 28th, and then an income statement for March 13th. And so I sent and it was a little bit earlier this month. It came out Friday afternoon instead of Friday night. So I sent an email and said, can you do it, the income statement as of February 28th? And JWendelgass said, I can do so, but the February checks and deposits won't be included. That's sort of an incredible nonsense statement. So I don't, I think we should take care of what the treasurer's report says. There was no way to tell, like as of February 28th, there was a year-to-date loss of $260,000, $48,000 of income in the month of February. February year-to-date last year had a gain of 28,000 versus this year's $260,000 loss. But I think the accounting was really messed up last year. I don't know about it this year. So, and the one thing I request, could these statements be posted, made available earlier than the day before? I know there's a comment that says you don't have to do it. You have to post them 24 hours or something before a meeting, but it certainly isn't helpful. And I've sent comments after every meeting, Monday afternoon, and which I don't know whether people scurry to answer or don't bother with. But is it possible to get these statements earlier? Is it? I mean, the February 28th statements should have been available March 5th, March 6th. We had a great review of that last year with mainly our accountants. They said you can only post one or two predated checks where we used to have 20, 30 predated checks. So is there any answer to that?
I don't have that answer, no.
Okay.
I'll review with staff and we'll make sure the information's posted as soon as practical.
Okay.
I understand and appreciate the value of putting information out sooner rather than later. And as soon as we can post it, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Urge?
Yeah. Welcome, Tommy.
Would you like me to make a motion on that?
Not yet.
I didn't hear what you said.
Yes.
Just this, I mentioned this to Jim when he was treasurer and our manager and treasurer, but the report, especially the treasurer's report, it would be nice if the PDF that we post is searchable, especially if we get on in the year, it's over 100 pages. And if you want to find something in it, it's difficult.
Understood.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none? Moving on, manager's report.
Would you like me to make a motion on the expenditures?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the expenditures list for all township funds in the amount of $186,987.14.
That's 19 cents?
Yep.
And I will second that motion. All right, we've had comment. Any more? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good. Now, manager's report.
Three items to note. Last month was a great month for real estate transfer taxes. The township received approximately $251,000 for the month, far exceeding the month's projected receipt and even exceeding the yearly projected receipt, mostly attributable to the transfer of one large property. The township also received our annual allocation of liquid fuel dollars. For those of you familiar with liquid fuels, you'll know that it's a portion of the gas tax that everybody pays when they fill up. It's distributed to Pennsylvania municipalities based on relative population and relative lane miles. And for this year, the township will receive approximately $275,000, a slight increase from the previous year. It's one of those receipts we pay particular attention to because a good portion of our road program and things infrastructure are funded with this revenue source. And over the recent years, it has proven to be a stagnant income stream. And part of that is attributable to the more efficient vehicles on the road and alternate fuel vehicles that are on the road, electric vehicles and so forth. So the township is aware of the challenges of funding its road program and something to keep in mind moving forward. Third and final, we have completed the 2023 audit, and that will be discussed later this evening.
Excuse me, Tommy, do you have any sense that when more and more electric vehicles come on online, so to speak, that those figures are going to stay there?
Well, I think the net dollars to the township will decrease. Now, the state recently adopted a law that charges electric vehicles a fee every year. That goes into effect this year, but the amount is modest. It's just $200 per vehicle. And when you take a look at what the statewide take will be that is passed on to municipalities, it's a little over $2 million. $2 million total for all municipalities in the Commonwealth. So we won't see very much money there.
Right.
So even with the newly imposed state fee, we'll still have to give some thought to properly funding our infrastructure.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, old business. Authorized advertisement of changes to ordinance number 213-2025 with West Vincent Township HRC.
I will make a motion to authorize advertisement of ordinance number 213-2025, the West Vincent Township HRC.
Dave, you were saying?
And that was based on our changes.
Yeah, thank you. As a result of the conversation we had at the last meeting, I then prepared an ordinance that would make those changes. And so that's what you have in your packet, and that's what will be advertised for consideration at your next meeting.
Okay.
Now, the one thing we needed to also decide with that was the meeting frequency, and I believe you have some verbiage in there. I just want to make sure we're all clear on that.
Yeah, well, it's to be determined by the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I have it, let's see here.
Do we do it every other month?
Well, you don't have to decide it now.
Okay.
Once you adopt this, I added the paragraph that the West Vincent Township Human Relations Commission shall meet on an as-needed basis. It shall be authorized by the Board of Supervisors to discuss and provide education, outreach, and training. So you're setting forth the reasons for them to meet, and you will then be able to decide probably on an annual basis how often you think they should meet. So I think we would adopt this ordinance, and then in a separate vote, you would set out for the rest of 2025 what the meeting schedule will be for the HRC. That make sense? So she made the motion.
Oh, okay.
Danny made the motion.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none from the audience? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And we'll advertise that for the April meeting.
Number 7, accept the 2025 final audit report from Manley.
I'll make a motion to accept the 2023 audit report from Mally, which we did discuss in our last meeting.
I'll second the motion. Any comment from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And acknowledge letter from Yukon Ambulance Corps.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about that if I could. Those who were here to see that we were put on notice that our service was going to be interrupted in 90 days. We did end up meeting with the Yukon Ambulance Corp, and we did come to a resolution that they felt was satisfactory for now. But I just feel that this is a much bigger conversation for all of our first responders about how we're going to continue to fund them going forward. And, if this is, if we have the right mix and all of that. So, but right now there are some that are not happy with this, that we haven't given them sufficient funds, and they would be correct.
Okay. Any comment from the audience? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. New business, interim township manager resignation. Danny, you want to make that motion?
Yeah, I will make a motion to accept the resignation of interim manager Jim Wendelgass, effective 3/17/25, with Mr. Wendelgass still available as the treasurer at $75 an hour. And this is really say for a maximum of 20 hours a week.
Okay.
It's not a regular thing.
Okay, and I'll second the motion. Any comment from the audience? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Do you want me to keep going? I'll make a motion to accept the resignation of Charlene Briggs from the West Vincent Township Board of Supervisors, effective immediately. She put 3/17 on her on her document, but I believe it's as we speak of it. So we are sorry to see Charlene go, and we did appreciate her.
Very good. I'll second the motion. Any comment from the audience? Julia?
Hello there, Julia Brandell, Flowing Springs Road. Are we going to be replacing Charlene? And what's the process going to be for that?
Yes, we're going to appoint someone.
Tonight?
Yep.
Yep.
And that's not on the agenda, I guess, because we didn't know.
It
is on the
very next
agenda?
item.
It's on the agenda. It's next item.
I thought it said to appoint the manager.
It says Township Supervisor report.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. Did we already appoint the manager then? Okay.
Not yet.
No.
Okay, and do we want to vote on that?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
And then I'd also like to bring up, as Julia was saying, about the process for finding another supervisor. If you recall, it was only a few months ago that we did an extensive process, and we got many, which was wonderful to see how many people were interested. Many people came forward that were interested in taking the job of supervisor, and I understand that there's quite a few people who are interested in running for supervisor, which is great. And I wanted to mention that we are appointing someone who was not available at the time. And it's a really great opportunity for us. It's not someone who wants to run. It's above politics, and it throws no shade on anyone else who is running. It's just a great transition for us. And I would like to make a motion to appoint JWendelgass as Township Supervisor beginning immediately for the term ending 12/31/25.
And I'll second the motion. Now, discussion. Any? None? Seeing none?
Actually, I have something.
Okay.
And can I say one more thing too? John is still there, John, or I can't speak, I'm sorry. If John is still there, this is the perfect opportunity for him to be setting the rate for the treasurer, which is really just an interim position.
Okay, have to do that in a separate
So
meeting.
we will need a meeting.
We'll discuss that.
Mm-hmm.
So can a supervisor be a treasurer?
Yes.
That is okay. I know they could be on the planning commission.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hold on. You gotta be quicker, Whitney.
I know, I just came to me. Hi, Whitney Yeager. Did Jim put his name in with the 9 earlier from this year?
He couldn't, he was a manager.
Oh, so he had to step down to do that. I'm just trying to understand
No.
the process.
No, he didn't step down to do that, but because he has stepped down, the timing just happened to work out perfectly that it's an opportunity for us because Jim is so very familiar with all of the many things that this township is facing, and with the new manager, it's a perfect transition, we feel.
Oh, I'm not just.
And yes, Bernie and I did talk about it with our then manager.
Right. I was just trying to figure out if he previously put his name in.
No.
Oh,
Earlier.
he doesn't have aspirations to continue this beyond his term.
I understand. I was just, my question was just wondering if he was interested earlier this year when you appointed Charlotte.
No, I don't think it occurred to him
Gotcha.
that it was even a possibility.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 12, discussion of Township Treasurer position and compensation. Dave?
Yeah, my understanding is that Mr. Wendelgass has expressed an interest in remaining as Township Treasurer for the time being. And in this letter, he's proposing the rate of $75 an hour, which the board finds acceptable. Under the second-class township code, when a supervisor is essentially an employee, also an employee of the township, then his salary or pay must be approved by the board of auditors. So the board is suggesting that they are okay with $75 an hour. The board of auditors will have to convene and vote on that. And so that's to be determined, but subject to that vote, then Mr. Wendelgass would be acting as not only as the supervisor, but also as the treasurer. So my recommendation is for the board of auditors to get together as soon as possible with that on their agenda.
Yeah, so we can't write any checks till he does, correct?
Yeah, you don't have a treasurer.
That's right.
Sure. One more, Barry.
When we were missing a treasurer back when Mike Schneider and John Jacobs were on board, Mike Schneider was not allowed to get paid, and he did the job for like 4 months. So I kind of question him getting paid to do the job.
Oh, allowed under the second class contract code.
For me, the biggest problem with him getting paid is that, you know, we would like him to not do the job sooner than later. So, you know, but he's not going to do it for nothing, and I don't blame him. I wouldn't either.
George Zolchinos. Jim seemed as treasurer and manager, especially the treasurer portion of his duties, he seemed more of a higher level guy and not really, you know, down into QuickBooks or any of that stuff. And sure, with him switching over to supervisor, it's not like he's shedding extra work. So I would strongly suggest you get a treasurer to do the job that can do all of it and eliminate the need to hire outside bookkeepers. Have one person in-house that can do that.
I believe that's up to the manager as we're moving forward to hire someone, a treasurer that's suitable to him.
Well, there's a discussion of the role of a treasurer, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's my opinion, having, you know, in the meetings, a lot of the questions we asked, Jim had to defer to what the bookkeeper was doing. And it'd be nice if we had somebody that could bring all of that under one umbrella. Especially since
I think there's a conflict with that, though, isn't there? I thought that was something we didn't want to do, have our treasurer be our bookkeeper. But that again is up to our new manager, who's I want to mention about Tommy that, you know, he started today's his first day, but he spent the last 30 days meeting everyone, learning what's going on here. So I think he's pretty up to speed, and hopefully soon we'll be able to make some determinations of what direction we want to go.
Do you want to be treasurer?
No. And that's primarily for an internal control. I
agree. We've had that issue in the past and not in the recent past. So I agree. And I really think it should be a separate entity. Thank you.
It's so exciting, John. We're going to get to do something as elected auditors. Does that have to be an advertised meeting?
Yes.
Okay. You sort of just answered the question, but at the last meeting, it was agreed that we would wait for Tommy to take the role for a while to decide whether he wanted a treasurer. But am I correct in saying that you already know that that's something you would want to have? And why would we need I didn't hear that as part of the discussion. Why do we need bookkeepers as well as a treasurer? Or not?
Well, what's meant by bookkeepers? I don't believe you need more than one additional employee, one person in the finance. There's a need to cross-train an employee to do the work in the event that there's an unforeseen loss of your treasurer, because it always have redundant skills. But I think one person is sufficient for the position.
The treasurer.
Treasurer
position. Yeah, good. And I appreciate, we've talked about if we hire a full-time treasurer, that would be a considerable expense to the township that we haven't had for a number of years. We understand that there's been a lot of feelings that we should have one, especially because of the problems that we've had for the last 2 or 3 years. So I'm glad that we're not hiring a full-timer. But do we have an idea of how many hours we should expect Jim to work? Is that it's not budgeted?
We put a cap on 20 hours, and that's what he was doing for both before, so I doubt that he will do that.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Let me just say that, because Barry raised it, 703 of the second class township code says that the board of supervisors shall determine the compensation of the township treasurer. When a supervisor is appointed as the township treasurer, the board of auditors shall determine the compensation. So he's allowed to receive compensation under the code.
Okay. John Eldridge, 1634 Hilltop Road. I, for one, don't think he's qualified. As I said early in the meeting, I didn't know he was going for the job. When I sent him an email, he said, I can do so, but you will miss all the February checks and deposits. Then he sent it to me and it didn't miss any. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. And I think as treasurer, you need somebody who can be familiar with the detail. We've had treasurers as secretaries has been treasurer in the past year, probably. So saying, well, we can't do anything till we have a treasurer, we can't sign any checks. I don't know, the treasurer doesn't sign checks. The supervisors sign checks as far as I know. And so that's what I have to say, not qualified, shouldn't do it.
Very good. So did we vote on,
I think that,
I don't think we had to vote on that. We were just discussing it.
yeah, that's.
But it would be great if we could get a date so we could advertise it. Do you think the auditors, are there enough of them there to come up with a date?
Jamie, did you catch that?
Do we need how much leeway do we need for it to be advertised?
A day.
Next Monday, the 24th.
Yeah, can't do it. We got 2 meetings here that night, so we already have a little meeting room in this one team.
And the following Monday is Philly's opening day, so that's out.
You can do Wednesday, the 26th, Thursday, the 27th.
27th.
Yes,
Thursday, the
yes,
27th.
sir.
I'd say pencil it in. We'll talk with John and then Megan. My calendar here. Megan's not here.
Okay, very good.
Thursday, the 27th. I'll get back to you, Christina, as soon as or you can email the 3 of us just to confirm from the date.
Okay. All right, next, award Opalanie Contract. I have some X's in.
We don't have the information.
What's that?
I was texting earlier that we don't have the information for the which one they went with, which amount and which contractor.
Okay, Norma's coming up.
Here.
Hi there, Dana.
Hi, Aaron.
So anyway, give you just a little bit of background information first, if I could. Opalanie Park has been much discussion as far as options and what the township wanted to do. But generally speaking, the Opalanie Park is construction of a gazebo, a pedestrian walkway, an internal loop trail, parking area, stormwater management, installation of playground equipment, ADA access, various landscapings, and some other site improvements. So the project was designed. There were much input from the township. It was put out to bid electronically using the pen bid option there, and the bids were opened on March 7th of this year. Got a lot of bids. We actually received 9 different bids from contractors, and the bids ranged, they were very tight for a project, a large project such as this. And for 9 bids being received, the low bid was $1,044,798, and the high bid, the 9th or the lowest bidder, was $1,284,128.85. So that was actually very tight. And in this particular case, probably most importantly, the difference between the first and second place bidder was only a difference of $1,002 on $1 million bid. That's pretty crazy, so that's pretty tight. But anyway, so the bids were received, they were reviewed, And actually, part of that process is reviewing the bid bond for the project. And the township solicitor believes he has found something that would be a concern for awarding it to the low bidder. So not to put him on the spot, and just in case he gets another chance to review
Yeah,
it.
I've reviewed it tonight.
Okay.
And the bid bond appears to be deficient,
Okay.
in my opinion, and bid bond is a crucial element to any bid. And it would disqualify, the bid bond is not sufficient, would disqualify the bidder.
Okay.
So my
Okay.
suggestion is to go to the second lowest bidder.
Okay. Part of the bidding process is to make sure that a bid is what you call responsible and responsive. Responsive is timely. Did they hit all the deadlines? Responsible is have they dotted all the i's, crossed all the t's. And in this particular case, they neglected to cross a pretty important T in the form of the bid bond. So disqualifying the low bidder would put us in the second low bidder. And that bid, we still have to look at the paperwork that was in all. They submitted it, but admittedly, that needs to be reviewed and ultimately approved by the township solicitor. But again, unless you feel differently, I don't see a reason we can't issue an apparent low bidder notification, get a recommendation from the board, assuming that that paperwork is responsible, meaning everything is in place.
Right, the motion tonight would be to award a bid to Cousins Inc., subject to
Correct.
engineering and legal review of their bid.
Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take that information and we'll forward that on to the township solicitor for his review. And assuming that we hear back that everything is good, we'd be looking for a couple of motions from the Board of Supervisors tonight. And the first one of those is we will issue the apparent low bidder notification. We'd issue the recommendation letter to the township, but we would be looking for a motion then at that point to issue the apparent low bidder notification to the second low bidder of Cousins Inc. in the amount of $1,045,800. So, and then that would be with the understanding that their paperwork is in order and found to be acceptable by the township solicitor.
Could you repeat the name and the amount, please?
Sure, I can. So we would be looking to issue an apparent low bidder notification letter to Cousins Inc. in the amount of $1,045,800.
Okay, and so moved.
And what was it, Dan?
I said so moved.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay.
And to discussion?
Okay. And then usually it takes us about 10 days to 2 weeks to get that paperwork back. And because it's longer than that for the next Board of Supervisors meeting, we typically ask for a second motion, which would be to issue the notice to proceed, provided that the information that comes back from the bidder that's required in the apparent low bidder notification is acceptable. And just real quickly, just so that you know, that information is the agreement, which is your contract, the 100% performance bond, the payment bond, workman's compensation affidavit, certificate of insurance that would name West Vincent and LTL as additional insureds, and then also that we get the okay from the granting agencies. They look at the paperwork as well, but before we would issue that, we would make sure that they are in agreement as well. And I don't suspect they're going to find anything if we don't.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
Dana, would you make a motion?
Yeah. Can I also make a motion then to issue the notice to proceed if acceptable with Cousins Inc. at the $1,045,800 bid?
I'm not sure you voted on the first
Oh,
motion.
No.
Okay.
I didn't even catch.
You did? Okay, I'm sorry.
Well, Dana said so. There wasn't a motion in a second.
Yeah, but I don't know there was a vote. So let's
Okay.
make sure there's a vote on the
Okay.
first
All right.
item and then on the second.
So all in favor?
I mean, we can always do it on the April 7th too, if that's not a problem. So,
Again, as long as we get the paperwork back that's acceptable, kind of
yep.
keep it moving if you guys are okay with that, if the board's, that's their wish.
Okay, so the first motion is for awarding the contract to Cousins Inc., correct?
Right.
Okay, and we did a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And we actually already did the notice to proceed.
Yeah.
So I think we're all good. That is all I'm going to need at this point.
Okay, good.
We'll keep you informed.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Refresher, what was the grant amount on this?
$750,000. There's 3 different grants.
Total.
They're each 250. There's one from DCNR, one from the county, and one from DCED, all for 250,000. The county is a matching to the DCED.
Okay, so our share is about the same, I guess.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, next on the list is National Library Week Proclamation. I understand there's somebody here from, would you come up, ma'am?
Hi, my name's Jenna Persick. I'm the director of the Chester County Library and, excuse me, Henrietta Hankin Branch. And you want me to read the whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's not, 800 pages.
It is lengthy. If it's too much for you, we can give a summary too.
I'll do the last 3 chapters, paragraphs.
Okay.
It's whereas the Chester County Libraries, including their dedicated staff and volunteers, stand united with library advocates across the nation to celebrate the 67th Annual National Library Week, recognizing the indispensable role libraries play in enriching lives, fostering community connections, and strengthening the fabric of our society. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Supervisors of the West Vincent Township, Chester County, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, hereby proclaims its strong support for National Library Week from April 6th through 12th, 2025. The board encourages all residents to visit their local library, explore its vast array of resources, and celebrate the many ways libraries bring people together to learn, grow, and thrive.
Okay, thank you very much.
And I just wanted to thank the supervisors for doing this proclamation and for supporting the Henrietta Hankin Branch. We do appreciate it.
And I just want to throw.
Thank you.
I want to throw a comment in there. My world opened up like never before when I was first introduced to library science at Camden County College. I won't say what year, but many decades ago. And incredible work that came out of there. It was before computers and.
Yeah.
I started my.
I definitely suggest that everyone take the time to go and see if they haven't been to Henrietta Hankin lately or Chester County. They're really wonderful, inclusive spaces that are very interesting, and there's always something to learn and do there. Consider volunteering or donating your time or your money as well, but we prefer the time.
Yeah, can I just throw something else out in there? I noticed when, times that I've been there, there's like play area for children. So the adults can go off and do their thing and the kids can wrap around. And so it's a real family type of atmosphere. People who don't have their own computers or internet, they can go and utilize those computers, that internet system. And so it really is a service to everyone, even those who don't regularly, let's say, take books out. There's more to it than that. Plus all the different events and meetings that you hold there.
Yes.
I noticed there's a lot of retirement benefit meetings and such like that. So I hat off to you. And
I did a little sample of the calendar for National Library Week just at Henrietta Hankin Branch. We're going to have book groups, mobile office from a state senator, the Chester County mobile navigators are going to be there. We have a Mahjong club, a bridge club, book bingo for adults. We have a Scrabble club, a recipe demo. We have makerspace hours. We're going to have a talk on the poetry of Emily Dickinson. And all that's just in that one National Library Week. So yes, we are very busy and have a lot of things for everybody.
Good, very good.
Right, and I'm going to just take a minute to plug that that there's a lot of these extras that Jenna just mentioned are funded by the Friends groups. There's a Friends group at Chester County and there's a Friends group at Henrietta Hankin. And I know for a fact that they are looking for new board members and new volunteers and Book Nook volunteers as well, which is fun to do. And it's a good way to spend your time. So if anyone's interested, feel free to reach out to Jenna or even myself. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is events at Gazebo and the Pavilion, rules and regulations. Dana.
Yeah, so we really don't have any solid regulations about that, and it is presenting a problem because Our gazebo is supposed to be a public space, as part of our park. It's not supposed to be an event venue. And I think we've had some people who want to come with 80 people and catering and such like that. And it really, for free rental of the gazebo, that's really getting out of hand. So I personally think that this needs to be remanded back to Parks and Rec for their recommendations. But as of right now, I would say that I would not rent it to anyone for anything that is commercial in nature, or there's caterers, or there is in addition, additional parking required beyond what's right over by the gazebo, which I believe is about 20 spaces. That's my opinion, but I think we need to send it back to Parks and Rec.
Are you talking about the current gazebo at Evans or the new?
Correct.
The new one?
The current one, yep.
Okay, all right, very good.
So if anyone has any feedback on their feelings, I'd love to hear it, but I do, I just feel like it needs to be available to the public at all times without being overrun.
Okay. Moving on, any comment on that? Seeing none. Number 16, authorize the Public Works to put in gravel parking area at Cook's Glen Park.
And I would love to make that motion to authorize Public Works to put in a gravel parking area at Cook's Glen Park. It's well overdue. The only question I have is we really didn't get information of exactly where and how much. Again, this is something that could also go back to Parks and Rec for their opinion, or we can also get the specs from Mike Hoga to share with them before we actually go ahead and do it. But it's something that we can do easily, and it just should have been done a long time ago so people could enjoy that space.
So, yeah,
I'll see to that information being assembled.
okay. So I'll second the motion. Any comment? George?
Just, I guess we don't have the information, but I guess, before you make a motion to do this, you'll get a number, I assume, a budget
It
number.
will be included.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Okay.
So before you, Craig Karkoska, before you get a number, are you going to get outside bids to do it so that you can clarify if putting 4 or 5 guys from the township, the equipment, the fuel, versus just getting a sub to come in and do it at a cheaper rate? Because I've always found that the subs are cheaper than sending employees out and pulling them off a road and what they normally do to put in a parking lot.
Yeah, I'll speak with the Public Works Director, but it's been my experience that it's cheaper to do it in-house, and prevailing wage adds a good chunk of change if you go out to bid for certain projects. I think this will be below the prevailing wage limit, but I'll speak to the Public Works Director and make sure that the numbers and manpower work out.
Would you give your name for the?
Yeah, it's Craig Karkoska.
Thank you. Okay, so we could still make a motion on this, Dana?
I think we could make, ask Dave, but I think we can make a motion to authorize this to move forward with input from Parks and Rec and from our Public Works and our Township Manager to make sure that we come up with something that everyone is agreeable to.
I'll second that motion. You good with that, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right. Authorize the purchase of 3 TDRs from Jim and Carol Hanna in the amount of $96,000.
So the board previously expressed an interest in purchasing TDRs from the Hannas. Mr. Hanna is here. And we've had, it's 2 parcels. One that's about 9 or so acres, and then there's a smaller parcel. The larger parcel was appraised. We've determined that there's 3 TDRs that are available for purchase. And the going price for those would be $96,000. And we would need the board to authorize the purchase tonight, which would include in that motion for the signatures on the appropriate documents to firstly, agreement of sale with Mr. Hanna, and then on the documents that would be recorded
Mhm.
as part of the purchase. So we need that motion, and then we can schedule, we've already sent the documents to Mr. Hanna in anticipation of this, but then we can schedule settlement.
Yeah. And now I would like to just clarify that two of those TDRs are on his current residence, and one is on the new property, which was the only available building envelope on that property that he is preserving. So I'm sorry it took so long. I know we went through a lot of hoops, but I would love to authorize the purchase of the 3 TDRs from Jim and Carol Hanna at $96,000 for 25-7-45 and 25-7-42.
Okay, now second the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Let's see. Adopt committee appointments as follows. Trail Plan Implementation Committee, Frank Fred.
Yeah, we can we just appoint this as stated in the agenda?
Sure.
Well, as long as they're,
Is that okay?
as long as they're in the minutes.
Yeah, they should be. So if I can make a motion to appoint the volunteers to committees as stated in item 18 of the agenda for March 17th, 2025.
That would be for the Trail Plan Implementation Committee, Historical Commission, Human Relations Commission, and the Planning Commission.
Correct.
Okay, I'll second the motion. Any comment? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye. I'm also going to mention that we still have a handful of openings. We have some space on Parks and Rec and Sustainability. And I also believe we have an alternate on zoning available.
Okay. That concludes the business section of this meeting. Now our public comment. Any public comment? Okay, seeing none. I move to adjourn.
I'm so moved. I agree.
All right, adjourn.
Second. Thank you.